Hey everybody, welcome back to Rudo Radio. It's the weekly wrestling podcast from SB Nation and Cage Side Seats. I'm Bill Handstock. With me as always is Mark Normandin. And this week we got a special guest. It's Mr. Brandon Stroud from with Spandex. How's it going, Brandon?
It's going very, very well. Thank you for having me. I always want to be a guest.
You're a guest to many and master of none.
Yeah, I try to be.
Yeah.
I always get really sad because I see people recording podcasts all the time, and I'm like, oh, I want to be on a podcast. So whenever I get asked, it feels like it's Christmas. So thank you.
You know, you could just have your own podcast.
I could, but my dad is a radio guy. My dad runs a radio show, and there's all these psychological issues of just like, well, I don't want a radio show. So I tend to be a fingertip communicator more than a voice, but I do love to talk programs from time to time.
Some would say that you're known for it.
Yeah, I'm a prograps man, you could say.
Well, there was a lot that happened this week. Some of the things that we're going to talk about, you were a first-hand witness to that happened this past week. But we'll start off with the most recent and saddest news, being that Luke Harper is apparently injured.
Oh, that's such a bummer. That's such a bummer. He's so good. I feel like he's never going to get that shine because he doesn't have that, like, Cesaro, just, like, look how great I am. I'm Superman. Everyone should love me obviousness. It's like Luke Harper is just as good as almost anyone in the company, and it's so sad that he's not ever going to get that shine.
And he has the exact same hair as Shawn Michaels, too, so...
Yes, he does.
Mark, how sad were you when you heard the news yesterday?
I didn't even end up clicking on anything that said how hurt he was. Like, I just looked at it and loudly sighed to myself and was like, I'm gonna go write about baseball.
That's probably for the best.
At this point, the injuries you can't even react negatively to them. You're just so used to them. Every week, you just expect someone you like is hurt. It's really depressing.
Yeah. That's why
it's pretty sad when the best news lately has been like, Neville is only out for half as long as we thought.
Yeah.
That's still pretty long.
Yeah.
His leg wasn't broken as bad as we feared. He's only lightly dead.
But hey, in a related story, Zack Ryder at WrestleMania.
Well, we'll get to that.
Hooray.
Well, I think the only silver lining, I mean, there's no silver lining, but I think that the upside of Luke Harper getting injured is that we're 2 weeks away from WrestleMania, and there was no indication he was going to be on the show anyway.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Like, he very well, because he was in last year's ladder match for the Intercontinental Title, so he very well could have been one of the guys who got lumped in there. Like, Bray Wyatt doesn't even have anything to do at WrestleMania this year. Maybe he's going to win the Andre? Who even knows?
I assume they're all going to just get tossed out by Heath Slater, and then I can't even be mad about it.
Yeah, right. Like, I'm actually kind of happy that he's skipping this WrestleMania, mostly because the Wyatt family is so damn depressing right now.
Yeah.
Like, it's like, oh, he isn't going to have to look kind of like a scrub? Like,
Right.
okay.
Yeah, I think holding them out of WrestleMania altogether might actually be, like, if Bray is not going to win the Andre, like, holding them out of Also, how weird is it that we can call it the Andre, like some sort of league homage? Let's all agree to refer to it as the Dre from now on.
Hooray.
Yeah, Bray Wyatt's definitely competing in the drag.
Well, so if he doesn't win the Dre, like, I think it would be best if he was held out of WrestleMania entirely, and then we could look forward to the awesome Bray Wyatt Brock Lesnar feud later this year, which is definitely coming.
Yeah, I think giving the Wyatts a break is a really great idea because they're such a good concept, and the actual wrestlers are worth the concept, you know?
Yeah.
There's nothing really bad about it other than just their vibe and how they're portrayed. It's the brand, I guess, has gotten stale. To put it in a Bobby Roode kind of term, the brand's gotten kind of stale. So if you take them away for a while, let the absence make the heart grow fonder or whatever, and then bring them back with some focus and the goal, I think it could work. So maybe it's a good thing.
Yeah, we've talked about the Wyatts a lot on this program, and it's really just a matter of, like, doing something with them that leads to something. Like, for all the complaining that people do online about, like, oh, now you've ruined the Wyatts forever. It just takes a little bit of rehab. Like, you rehab them for like 3 months, and you've got something great. You rehab them for an entire year, you've got something amazing.
Yeah, I think NXT right now is proving that you can rehab anybody, because I thought Samoa Joe was in the landfill, dude, and Samoa Joe is 2005 Samoa Joe again.
Yeah, and it's not just someone with the ability level of Samoa Joe, it's people like Baron Corbin and Mojo Rawley that we were like,
Yeah.
this guy again, and then it just takes little tweaks and a little bit of tender loving care, and suddenly they're, some of your favorite people around.
Yeah,
They've done such an amazing job with things like that I am willing to be patient with, like, Elias Sampson, who I'm like, I don't get it. I don't get it, and I'm not enjoying it, but you know what? In 6 months, he's probably going to have a match of the year. Whatever.
Yeah, I've had a lot of moments that I'm sure we're going to talk about in the last week or so where I was really connected to pro wrestling and I really loved it.
Yeah.
And one of the oddest ones that I had, and I wrote about it in my NXT column, was the fact that I was watching a Hype Bros match, and I wasn't even like looking at the screen. I was just like scrolling through my phone or something absent-mindedly, because I watch a lot of wrestling. We all do. And I was just kind of going through my phone, and I hear Mojo Rawley yell, "He ain't hype," and just I'm not even looking, and I just kind of calmly to myself go, "He ain't hype." Just like to myself. And it's this call and response of like, if I was 6, that would be like a normal response, but just I'm so connected to that vibe of pro wrestling when it works, that just even when I'm not even paying attention, it hits me in the back of my brain and makes me do the thing that I'm supposed to do. We all puppets. We a bunch of puppets, I guess. But for the record, Mark Henry's winning the Dre. I'm calling it.
That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
If it was somehow possible for Mark Henry, Kane, and Big Show to all win the Dre at the same time and then triple retire.
Oh, it's possible.
Now that's a WrestleMania moment. Because they've never done the 3 people go out at once gimmick.
That's a good point, yeah.
First ever. I mean, as much as I love him, I do not trust Mark Henry to be able to do something like that at this point. Because Mark Henry's been having some real rough times the last few times he's been on TV. He's like, oh, I gotta not kick out? Oh, I gotta pin that guy? Oh, I gotta catch Neville? I don't know what I'm supposed to do in here. I love the guy so much, but he's had such a bad run recently. Just like, I think it's such a bummer that one of the lasting impressions of Mark Henry might very well be like him trying to pin a guy who's half out of the ring while Jack Swagger yells, "Pin him! Pin him!"
Yeah, he's that legendary baseball player at the end of his career. He's Jim Thome coming off the bench to be a DH when he really doesn't need to be on the field anymore, but he's Jim Thome and he can hit a dinger every now and then, so you want him there.
Yeah.
But you're just like, okay.
Yeah.
Now I just want Mark Henry to mash some taters.
Yeah, exactly. At least with Thome, you knew that he was either going to strike out or womp a dinger. So let's talk about Raw for a little bit.
I want to talk about whomping dingers.
Yeah. Well, that'll be later. I thought it was compared to the normal Raw, I thought it was a very watchable Raw, particularly the first 2 hours. It sort of flew by for me. Especially, really fantastic match between Kevin Owens and AJ Styles that ate up like most of the first 45 minutes, really. And do you guys have thoughts on Raw? I know that I know that Brandon, you can get frustrated sometimes on Twitter because I try and pick out the good things and it's rough. I get it. I totally get it. Like, there are people that I feel are way too like relentlessly optimistic, and what I try and get across is that this is just the way I feel, and when I am baffled, usually I'm just sort of like, well, I didn't really see what was so bad about it, rather than like, no, it was great and everyone else should agree with me that it was great and everyone else's point of view is stupid.
Sure.
So,
yeah. And
like, I try to find that happy medium there.
Yeah, and one thing that I want to say while I actually have my voice and not just toneless Twitter characters, when I said that I admired the fact that you can watch it and be that optimistic, like, I really mean that. Mm-hmm. Like, I really wish that I could watch the show and be like, oh, well, there was more good stuff than bad stuff, so I liked it. And I don't know if that's just my natural pessimism or if just I'm tired of watching Raw, right, or what it is, but like, I grew up watching a very different kind of pro wrestling.
Right.
Like, I grew up an NWA kid, and sometimes that, like, normal, just gentle, pleasant nostalgia of watching wrestling, like, I don't connect that with WWE.
Right. I get it.
Like, when I watch WWE, it's like, it's still kind of the bad guy. It's still kind of the enemy in my life. So, if I watch a show, like for example, it's the differences in me and you watching Total Divas.
Right.
It's like, you legitimately love Total Divas, and your enthusiasm for it is incredible and infectious to the point that it's made me watch Total Divas. Like, that's how infectious that is.
Nice.
But there's never a moment when I'm watching Total Divas where I'm like, this is good. Like, it hurts me in my guts. I want to die. And that doesn't necessarily mean that either of us is doing it wrong. It's just, people like different shit. And, yeah, with Raw, man, it's just, there was a lot of good on Raw. There's always a lot of good on Raw, but when the bad is bad, it seems like the bad's worse than the good's good.
Yeah, 3 hours is just too long. Like, that's just all it is. Like,
too much show. Like, I don't want to watch 3 hours of Lucha Underground in a row, and I love Lucha.
Yeah.
I mean, I ran out of steam 2 hours through, and this doesn't always happen to me. Usually I can get through to the third hour as long as, the last 45 minutes or whatever doesn't drag. But Monday was one of those nights where it just kind of dragged.
Yeah.
I was shocked at like how good and how fast paced the show was and how well everything was coming together. And pretty much at the moment that I had that thought, everything just turned.
Yeah, no, I tweeted like at 10:05, I tweeted like, wow, we're over 2 hours through Raw already. And at like the instant that I tweeted that, then just the last like 50 minutes of Raw just sort of happened to me. But like Brandon, to your point, like I like every day of baseball season, like I wish that I could flip that switch in me for like being a baseball fan, because
you're real negative with baseball. You have a team that's amazing.
Yeah, well, yeah, but like for all of my life, it wasn't. It was the worst team.
Sure.
But like I was just taught to root for sports that like just every second you anticipate that the worst possible thing is going to happen. Mm-hmm. And I can't, as much as I try, I can't change that about myself, about how I root for sports. And in my mind, it sort of makes like the good things that happen even better, because I expected everything horrible to happen. I expected everyone on the team to die at once via sniper. But
yeah, and that's me too with wrestling. It's like when I get the good moments in wrestling, I feel that same way. It's just it's so worth it. Yeah,
like I totally get that, but I don't know what it was about me, because like last year or 2 years ago, I literally made a conscious decision of like, because just watching wrestling every week and like looking at Twitter every week and just reading like internet comments and just having it's just all negative all the time. And I just made a conscious decision, especially when I was like, look, I do this for my job. I have to follow this. Like, this is literally my job now. I'm going to make an effort to, one, not be that guy on the internet. And two, like, just look for the things that I enjoyed and try and hold on to those, instead of only tweeting about like the negative shit that happened.
Right. A lot of my negativity that comes out when I write comes from the fact that I'm also trying to be funny. And generally, it's hard to be like, hey, here's the thing that I love, and also I'm funny about it.
Yeah.
There's a big difference if you read like my Lucha column or my NXT column, or if you read Raw.
Right.
Like, there's just a different attitude to it, and I think that's because I feel like, and I used this a couple of times recently, but I'm going to use it again with Lucha especially, and with NXT to a smaller degree. It feels like loving a wrestling promotion and having it love you back. Those promotions are saying, hey, if you invest the time and you pay attention and you love us and you dedicate yourself to learning our characters and our stories and our history, like, this pays off. Like, it's going to make you happy because we're putting a lot of effort into creating this show and making this like narrative and this entertaining product that you love. And even if it's not what you grew up on, like, we're reinventing it and here's what we have, right? So for better or worse, like, if something terrible happens on NXT, I'll be like, this was terrible, but it'll get better. But on Raw, like, Raw seems like such an assembly line of crap. Like, Raw is just like, let's appeal to just everyone ever, because we have to appeal to just everyone ever. And it doesn't seem like it ever loves you back. Raw is that, like, WWE is that company that releases T-shirts about how fans complain about WWE. Like, that's WWE. And it's like, they are amazing at making money, and God bless them for it. They're doing a perfect job, and I am not condescending on their business model at all. But like, I don't feel like that show wants me to watch it. Right. I feel like that show just exists, and they're just like, give us your money, and we're the only wrestling. And you're like, okay, I love wrestling. Here it is. Right. And whereas that niche shit, like NXT and Lucha and even New Japan or AAA or just anything, like Progress or PWG or anything, like those, they feel like things that are giving back to you. They're like, give us your money and we're going to try hard to make you happy.
Right.
WWE's just like, here's our show. Didn't like it? You're an asshole. You know? And it sucks.
But at the same time, like, I feel at least since the moment that the WWE Network launched, like, with the exception of, like, maybe the most recent Elimination Chamber, like, if you don't watch the weekly television show, and if you just watch all of the pay-per-views and network specials, it's like the most amazing product you've ever seen.
Probably, yeah. It's a great theory.
It seems like no matter how bad the show gets at times, and, you know, that's coming from people who, you know, we enjoy watching it every week. You know, sometimes more, sometimes less, sometimes a lot less. The pay-per-views are just always delivering.
Yeah.
You know, even like when we see a pay-per-view that's like, oh, that was just okay. It's kind of disappointing because everything else has been so great, but they don't really go below that level. You know, except for a few exceptions. And
you would think that now, like, and this is one of the reasons why I say, like, that we're definitely in, like, a golden age of wrestling for, like, being a wrestling fan. Like, there's never been a better time to be a wrestling fan between, like, New Japan World and WWE Network and just all of the amazing indies that happen all the time, and Lucha Underground and NXT. Like, Jesus Christ, what more could you ask for? But you would think that at this point in time, like, with WWE Network, where, like, pay-per-views and pay-per-view buys mean less than ever, and where there's absolutely no competition in Northern America for, like, a real mainstream wrestling alternative, like, you would think that this is the time to be like, oh, phone it in, half-ass it. And instead, we're in the midst of, like, 2 or 3 years of just lights-out pay-per-view after lights-out pay-per-view.
Yeah, there's a weird thing happening that I actually want to talk to you guys about, because it's something that I have sort of internally that I haven't been able to work out in any kind of way. Okay. So hopefully you've got a perspective on this, because I know that you do. So bringing up the idea of a WWE Network, right? Like, everything that you've ever wanted for wrestling is at your fingertips. Like, I can go back and watch an Inoki match from, like, 1984. I can go back and watch Spring Stampede. You know, I can just, anything I want at any time between YouTube or Daily Motion or the network or World or, like, all of the, like, indie streaming services, everything online. Like, you can find literally anything that's ever happened for cheap or free. Yeah. And like you said, it's spectacular. Like, you could
find any number of bunkhouses brawl.
Right. You could find any number of bunkhouses buck as well, and it's fantastic. But, like, okay, so when I was a kid, I got really into tape trading, right? Mm-hmm. And I also, via tape trading, I got into anime. So I got into, like, I would get a tape that would have, like, here's, like, an all-Japan show and, like, the Japanese Spider-Man movie and, like, 3 episodes of Magic Knight Ray Earth, you know? Like, it would just be this absurd just pile of stuff. So I got into anime, and part of the passion and impetus of being a fan of something back in the day when you didn't have access to everything was, like, the quest. It was the, like, investing in a thing and discovering and searching out and finding it. And it was actually, you had to do a thing to get to the thing you wanted. Like, there was, like, a journey to it. Because people always say it's not the destination, it's the journey. And I think that with fandom sometimes is the case as well. And that's not to say I don't want Halloween Havoc 97 at my fingertips, but, you know, at one point I had to have that shit on VHS because I taped it off TV. Mm-hmm. So with anime, like, when I was like 13, I got a VHS copy of Grave of the Fireflies that didn't have subtitles, and I had no idea what it was about, but I watched it and I cried and it was great. And I would go to Suncoast Video, because Suncoast Video was the only people who had anime tapes, and I would buy, like, VHS tapes of, like, here's 2 episodes of Sailor Moon for $40, you know? And it was just, like, you had to fucking earn it. Like, you had to get it. It was this thing. You had to go, and you had to be, and you had to get this, like, physical thing in your hand, and you had this product. And it felt like it was worth something. Like, it was part of you because your experience was linked to it. Mm-hmm. And now, it's one of those things where everything is so accessible that journey's gone. So when you see like the Usos run out to make a save, like the crowd's like, huh. And when like even like Dean Ambrose will come out sometimes and the crowd will be like, and Dean Ambrose is great and he's doing amazing work. Like he's doing like top shelf work. And this is like a guy who's come up in that era of like having to do the work and paying all of his dues, and he's killed himself for years and he's working hard, but he's entertaining people who can watch literally anything they want at any time and choose not to. Mm-hmm. Like there's so much on the network that like even me and you haven't watched because we just like, who cares, right? Mm-hmm. Like, oh, there's this world class episode, that's cool, and then you never watch it,
right?
and there's the thing with fandom where like if you don't. And this is such an old man thing, and I'm so sorry for anyone listening who thinks I'm a sad old man, because I am a sad old man. But, like, do you think that the loss of that effort and that journey, like, creates, like, a passion disconnect? I mean, I know it's a different interpretation of it, but, like, is that why the work and the wrestling is so good and the production's so good, but the crowd response seems so much less than it used to be?
I think that's definitely part of it, but I think it's more of a... over the top service leading to sort of, and I don't think it's limited to WWE. I think it's like, if you're deep into Tumblr, or if like you have a ton of shit on your DVR, or if you have like 1,000 items on your Netflix queue. Like I know that like it's a very common joke to be like, oh, I have so many things on my Netflix list that I have to watch, but instead I'm just gonna watch whatever random episode of Chopped that's on or whatever.
Right.
Like, it's just that there's so much that's available to us that it's sometimes paralyzing. And it seems just daunting to have all these things that you can watch, so you instead choose to just watch nothing. Or you choose to troll the internet or whatever. Like, yeah, I think that's definitely part of the reason that's led to the disconnect. I think that instant gratification is a blessing and a curse. I mean, on my other podcast, we talk about VHS tapes and Suncoast Video a lot, and just how ridiculous that was. But I mean, thank God that that's not the situation anymore. Because
sure, yeah,
Jesus Christ, oh yeah, you got this 6-hour tape. You can only cram 2 episodes of Dragon Ball Z on there, huh? $25, sure, whatever, buddy. Like, what a fucking scam.
I only started watching anime because it's on Netflix. Earlier, just looking at the prices of the DVDs for it and the prices of like individual copies of manga, just being like, no, I'm not delving into that. That's too much.
Yeah,
because I know how I am, and I like to consume things in large quantities and like know everything,
right,
and do all of it.
And it definitely cuts both ways, because now you have accessibility and you have stuff that would otherwise be like time and availability prohibitive. So I do see a lot of like teens and early 20s people who are like, holy shit, I got into this and I never thought that I would like have an opportunity to, like it is creating opportunities for people that wouldn't be able to afford those opportunities otherwise. Like, there's no teens that could afford to get into anime nowadays unless we had like Crunchyroll or Netflix, Yeah. But so I think that's a great thing that's happening.
I wonder how much different my life would be if I had access to stuff and I didn't have to work to get it, though, Like, yeah, I wonder if crazy. I would have ever even watched Dominion Tank Police if that hadn't been one of the tapes that we had at Blockbuster Video,
Yeah. Well, like, I didn't have internet until I graduated from high school. Until after I graduated from high school. And I didn't hear about tape trading or DVD-DVR or internet wrestling on the internet or the internet wrestling community or ROH until I was in college. And some random dude behind me was like, oh, you like wrestling? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, have you heard of this guy? Have you heard of this? Oh, you liked Kaientai. Have you ever heard of Michinoku Pro? And
Did he mansplain it to you?
Well, it wasn't really mansplaining at the time. Like at one time in life, like being excited about something and telling someone about something else. No, he wasn't doing it in a shitty way. He was just like, "Oh, have you ever heard of this?" I'm like, "No." Have you ever heard of this? No. Did you know that there's a one-legged wrestler? I'm like, oh, that's crazy. And then like I went to his dorm and we watched some shit, and like I think he showed me like an SAT match, but the first thing that he showed me was the Ring of Honor main event, the triple threat. Dragon versus Key and my fucking mind was blown. Like,
dude.
It's like, there's wrestling like this? Holy shit. And I did get into tape trading a little bit. I have a VHS tape somewhere that's only Tiger Mask versus Dynamite Kid matches from Japan.
Hell yeah, that's a good one.
And I get it. I understand it. But I'm also really glad that people just have access to shit. And I'm really fucking glad that, like, some teen watches wrestling and is like, Dean Ambrose is hot as shit, and they draw a chibi version of Dean Ambrose and put him on Tumblr, and other people are like, yes, and also look at this drawing I made. Like, that's the coolest shit in the world. I love it.
He does look like a possum, though. He looks like an angry possum.
I do think people just express their like extreme fandom in very different ways, like that with the Tumblr drawings of Possum Dean Ambrose. And you see people just freak out in all caps on Twitter all the time, and so I think the passion is still there. It's just communicated in a very different way with a different audience, and live crowds are kind of their own thing. It's so the things can be great, the things can be terrible, and you can almost never gauge like how something's going by a WWE live crowd anymore.
I wish there was a way to rehabilitate the WWE crowd, because I feel like and maybe that's a fault of the product, maybe that's a fault of society or something, I don't know. But like, I wish there was a way to watch more wrestling shows where a WWE crowd was into what the WWE was doing. I feel like that would help it so much. Even if I didn't like it, I would be like, okay, well, that crowd's really loving it. But then I watch these crowds just kind of like sit on their hands and what everything, and I'm just like, who's liking this? Yeah. Like, who's getting this? Like, you paid a lot of money to sit and not enjoy this wrestling show. Like, why are you here? Like, what are you even doing?
Well, that's why I think... I think there is hope, and I think that when you watch the pay-per-views, largely those crowds are usually into it, and they get it. I think it's just a function of TV, and I think that, yes, you can retrain those crowds, because look at what NXT is doing.
Yeah, good call.
NXT isn't, the Full Sail crowd is far from perfect, and often obnoxious, but it's totally possible, and I think that once Vince and or Kevin Dunn, phase out, and Triple H brings more of that ethos, as he, I'm sure, intends to do to WWE, I think that people will get retrained.
I hope so. Also, can I point out really quickly how weird it is to be a 9-year-old in 1989 who's into tape trading? I'm really happy that I just wasn't like murdered or kidnapped or something, because I learned about it through Pro Wrestling Illustrated.
Yeah.
Through like the pen pal section. They were just like, tape trading. And I was like, what's that? And I was that kid who thought apartment wrestling was like a legitimate wrestling promotion.
Ha!
I thought apartment wrestling was legitimate until like 5 years ago. Have I ever told you that story?
How you went through like 4 apartment wrestling sessions before you figured out it wasn't on the level.
Right. Like, I was like, this is really funny. I should share this with, wait a minute, why is that boob out? I was like, oh God, wait, people masturbate to this? Have I been missing an entire thing? Yeah, apartment wrestling. I always wanted to book apartment wrestling, but have it be super serious with like really good storylines.
You should do that.
I shouldn't ever. But yeah, tape trading is fucking weird. Tape trading is so weird.
Well, what is a daytime soap if not apartment wrestling that's serious?
Wow.
Like Days of Our Lives is basically that.
Okay, podcast's over. I'm leaving. Bye.
No, wait.
That's amazing.
We're not even through Raw yet.
What else happened on Raw? Happened on Raw?
Well, the first thing that I want to ask, I want to put this question to both of you guys. At this point, Dean Ambrose is definitely going to have to use a chainsaw, right?
Yeah, he does.
Like, he's going to have to hit Brock Lesnar with a chainsaw or chop off one of Brock Lesnar's meat limbs.
I think the fact that the old Tournament of Death clip of Dean Ambrose getting like the drill saw to his forehead, I think that's the precedent. I think they need to do a bigger version of that with a chainsaw and Brock Lesnar. And they need to have him like cut Brock Lesnar in the face with a chainsaw.
Yeah.
And just let that be the spot. Because as many Dean Ambrose interviews have been like, "That's bullshit." You know, that's my Dean Ambrose impression, by the way. Enjoy that, everybody.
That's pretty good.
Thank you. But yeah, just chainsaw him a little. Like, just a little.
Yeah.
Because I feel like they're going to do the Jimmy Jacobs, like, I've got a big spike. Oh, no, I hit the turnbuckle instead of you that they do all the time. Like, I don't want them to do that. I don't want him to start the chainsaw and then hold it above his head and, like, stagger forward like Herman Munster and get, like, kicked in the stomach.
Well,
and that's
it would,
pay it off somehow.
It would be awesome if he started the chainsaw and Lesnar was in the corner and he lunges at Lesnar and Lesnar moves and he, like, literally saws through all of the ropes. And then
that would be incredible and also incredibly dangerous.
Well, no, I know, I understand that, but like I think that's the only way you can like legitimately pay it off is if that happens. Even if you use like special effects and like the ropes have a release, you know, he's not really sawing through the ropes, and then like the chainsaw gets like lodged in the hardest part of the ring, and then Brock Lesnar gives him a German, and then we don't return to the chainsaw.
Yeah.
Feel like the Dean needs to try. Like, there's a table behind Brock, and he goes to chainsaw Brock. Brock moves. He goes through the table, and then Brock beats him to death with the table for a while.
Yes,
just with half the table, using it like a chair.
Or
Brock just punches him in the face and then throws the chainsaw at someone on display at WrestleMania.
Right. And since we've already seen Brock Lesnar throw a car door into the crowd, how about Brock Lesnar throws a turned-on chainsaw into the crowd?
He's definitely going to do that.
There's like a legit concern in my brain now that Brock Lesnar's going to throw a chainsaw at fans.
It's forever. Hey, you guys remember that WrestleMania where like 7 people died?
Hey, we were at WrestleMania 24, and that was the one where people got set on fire, right?
Yes, I remember that.
So, who knows?
But, you know, like, that WrestleMania where 7 people died, but they still did, like, 4 matches after that, because that's what Owen would have wanted.
Oh, shit.
Anyway, I really love that Tammy Sitch went on a Facebook rant about, like, you know, I used to really like Dean Ambrose, and then I found out he did death matches before he got in the WWE, so now I don't have any respect for him. That's not real wrestling. I'm like, that's not how respect retroactively works. But in light of that, I'm kind of hoping that Brock Lesnar like puts a syringe through his cheek just to piss off Sonny at WrestleMania.
I want to know what Sonny thinks about what Seth Rollins did before he got a WWE contract.
Okay.
With his, you know, like, I'm talking, he's like Speedo, like, softcore wrestler.
Right.
I'm just wondering if she would enjoy that.
She'd probably enjoy more AR Fox's work.
Probably.
Anyway, I want to talk about the inaugural Everyone Hates Kevin Owens ladder match, because I think it's an awesome idea. Mark and I have been talking for a long time on Rudo Radio about how it's wonderful that Kevin Owens is sort of like he's beyond face or heel, he's just the guy that everyone hates.
Sure.
So I think that this ladder match is sort of a perfect logical extent. Like, if we can't get a Sami versus Kevin Owens singles match, which, honestly, for main roster build-up, it's probably not time. We can have him have a singles match next year, hopefully. It will happen at a WrestleMania. But I think that if you're not going to do a singles match between them, you might as well make it another, because last year's Intercontinental ladder match was so awesome, like, despite the fact that some people almost died. I think
at least nobody almost died this time.
Right. Yeah, that's all I'm saying. Like, I'm excited.
Brock Lesnar uses a chainsaw on the bottom of the ladder.
Sin Cara falls onto the chainsaw. Face
As he
first.
would.
I'm really excited that I think this ladder match is going to be awesome. And given how many people are injured, and we still have the Dre to get through, and what will almost certainly be a multi-team match with this Dudleys versus Usos match, like, I mean, you can't complain about like Zack Ryder and Stardust being in this match, because it's like, even if you don't like those guys, who else are you going to put in this match, guys?
Yeah, I mean, my immediate reaction to Zack Ryder was like, how come that's not Tyler Breeze? But if Breeze isn't going to win, and you need someone besides just the social outcast Kane and Big Show in the Dre, like, that you kind of have to use Zack Ryder there.
Do you think that Fandango is sad that the higher ups got reminded that he exists like 2 weeks before WrestleMania?
Do you think he's going to be in the Dre? Dango in the Dre?
Yes, absolutely. I think it would be fun if the last entrant in the Dre was Titus O'Neil.
Oh.
And then he won. And then they're like, who's racist now?
They would do that. I think my only complaint about the everyone hates Kevin Owens match is that too many of the people in the match just started hating Kevin Owens last night.
Mm-hmm. He's very effective at making people hate him.
Right, but I mean, you've got Finn Balor, you've got even Alex Riley. Like there are people with histories. Look, I am not pitching Alex Riley for WrestleMania, but contextually, Alex Riley deserves to be in that match more than like Stardust.
The time code for this show note is going to read: Brandon Stroud advocates for Alex Riley to receive WrestleMania title shot.
I just think it would be great to actually have like paid off that actual like year and a half. Put John Cena in the match. Why not?
I just want
they should at least have Riley show up at the match and try and claim that he has legitimate beef, but then everyone just beats Alex Riley.
Yeah, if
and
Alex Riley shows up at ringside and just yells like "White Rage," and then everyone hits him, like with zero context, because absolutely no main roster, like non-NXT viewers, will understand what is happening or who this man is.
Sure. Because Sami Zayn makes sense, obviously, because they're blood rivals.
Right.
Dolph Ziggler makes sense because they've been feuding for the last, 2 months.
Right.
Neville would have made sense, but Zack Ryder's Neville now, right?
Miz makes sense.
Miz does make sense. And then there's what? Like Finn Balor could be in there? I mean, Balor hates him.
Right.
I don't know. I figure throw a little A-Rye in there at the end. You got your guy who takes all the bumps. You know, I'd like to see Alex Riley get hurt.
Jesus.
I'm kidding. I'm totally kidding. But yeah, if there's a guy I want to see fall off a ladder and not actually be hurt, but pretend to be hurt, Alex Riley, absolutely. I want him to fake get hurt. I want him to kayfabe get hurt.
Okay, good.
More than Sin Cara, at least. Jesus. Honestly, there's not much difference in Alex Riley and Sin Cara at this point.
Maybe they're planning a terrible ladder match ending for Sin Cara, and then we can get, not Sin Cara back.
That would be wonderful.
What do you think Alex Riley smells like?
Parliament cigarettes and a damp back seat.
See, he looks like he might smell kind of musty, but I bet he smells like just straight Drakkar Noir.
Alex Riley smells like the fish aisle at a grocery store.
He smells like when you're walking around town and you're like, oh, there must be a fish market near here.
Alex Riley smells like when you put oil on a baseball mitt and you put it under your mattress. And then you forget it for 3 days, and you're just like, "Oh, I put my mitt under there. I wonder if it's okay." And you lift that mattress, so it's body odor and mattress odor, and also oily mitt.
No, actually, the absolute thing that Alex Riley smells like is that teen's room in the Febreze commercial. That is absolutely the most disturbing commercial of all time. Because you know exactly what the mother is indicating. She walks in and recoils, and he's like, some friends are coming over, and she's like, really? You don't smell this? And he's like, what? And you know that the cut line from that script was it smells like cum and sweat in here. It's just masturbation smell in your room. It's just balls and Big League Chew.
We have a winner. That is absolutely what Alex Riley smells like.
I just hope everyone else is as horrified by that commercial as I am. Because it's a real gross.
I just never want to be in a room with Alex Riley now.
Well, that was good common sense to start with.
Why don't you say it to his face?
Oh my god. The one time
I'm really mad that they took away his Titantron video. It was just like a no fear logo. Right? And then he comes back and they're just lights. Matrix lights. You have those now.
Yeah.
Also, you look like Triple H's little brother.
his non-logo was the logo of like the Rancho Cucamonga No Fears or Bad Boys or whatever.
He doesn't look like Triple H's little brother. He looks like Triple H had his body stolen by one of those Men in Black aliens, and they're wearing it like a suit. That's why his hair doesn't like quite fit his head. It's like a wig that's like a Kimbo. Yeah.
He reminds me of my friends in high school who like came from a lot of money and listened to too much Sepultura.
I almost feel bad for him now.
Don't ever feel bad for Alex Riley.
No,
don't feel bad for White Thunder. Is he the white tiger? White lion is what he is.
Yeah, White Lion. He's gonna lead to a bar riot and stampede in Providence. Oh wait, sorry, that was Great White. Sorry. But he still is. My point stands.
Okay, let's talk about something other than Alex Riley.
Disagree. Welcome back to Riley Radio, everybody. All right, Brandon, let's talk about your experience.
Alex Riley was like Matt Stryker had a stroke.
Oh God.
Oh, God.
Well, he's like if Matt Stryker had a stroke, but then fell into a vat of steroids.
And like Matt Stryker had only seen 3 black athletes in his entire life, and had to compare every black person he sees to one of the 3.
Yeah, he's Matt Stryker who had a stroke and fell into a vat of steroids and acids, and had only seen 3 matches, and also he failed the sub exam. I'm referring both to the teacher exam and to the exam where he had to become a Subway sandwich artist.
Alex Riley smells like Matt Stryker's armpits.
Gross.
Yes.
All right.
Okay, sorry.
Brandon, tell us about your experience with Lucha Underground live in Austin, the only out of the Temple show, and South by Southwest and all that good stuff.
Man, how am I supposed to jump from Alex Riley armpit smell to that?
Well, it's the opposite, so...
Okay, that's true. Yeah, that was a dream come true, man. Like, I can't believe that Lucha Underground not only had a show outside of the temple that I could go to, but the fact that they had one that's like 15 minutes from my house. Mm. Like, that's the coolest thing that's ever happened, and I love it. They did a show at the Austin Music Hall, which sadly is going to get torn down in a couple of months to build condos. Which sucks, but hey, at least we got one really good show out of it. NXT ran there when they came. It's a really beautiful venue. But yeah, they came in, and I was lucky enough. They asked me to host the Creation of Lucha Underground panel at South by Southwest. So I actually became a South by Southwest speaker, which was bizarre. So it was me and Eric Van Wagenen, who's the showrunner, who's one of the coolest people in the world, and Skip Chasson, who I talked to him about how he edited Domino with Keira Knightley. I was like, that was your movie, right? And he's just like, somebody watch Domino? What? I don't know. And Dorian Roldan from AAA, who's the real-life Dario Cueto, and fucking Rey Mysterio Jr. And they were on a panel, and I got to host it, and it was the biggest honor of my entire life. And they did a press conference afterwards, and then they did a live show, and... Pentagon Jr. was slapping dudes like 10 feet from me in Austin, Texas, and it was the dopest thing in the world.
Awesome. Was that more or less special for you than your previous temple experiences?
It's different, because when you go to the temple, and I know you know because you've been a bunch, like, it's like you're going to like an amusement park almost.
Yeah.
Where like the sets they just exist. Mm-hmm. Like, it's not like there's just like a 3/4 set that they're like filming a TV show on. It's like these rooms are real rooms in a real building. And they all have relation to each other, like the locker rooms and the bathrooms and that hall that they always film people walking through, and like the practice ring, and like it's all just, it's there and you can visit it, and it's almost like you're visiting this like weird supernatural museum.
Yeah.
And you get to see the luchadors and you're just like, holy shit, this is a real place. Yeah. So that's the vibe for the temple. The temple is like you're a part of the show, and in Austin it was like the show was part of us. Mm-hmm. It was like they had come and they were like, people love us enough that we can do this now. And that was the coolest thing in the world, because like for people who love Lucha Underground, it's a very specific thing. Like it's loving a TV show more than loving pro wrestling, because the thing that always gets described is that Lucha is not a wrestling promotion. When you go, like, the guys are just hanging out, like they're actors on a show. Like, they're not like the luchadors all the time, and it's this production. But then it is a telenovela about a supernatural wrestling promotion.
Right.
And when that comes and performs in front of you, the hook to that is that there's still a wrestling show involved. Mm-hmm. So it's almost like when there's a TV show or a movie about a band, and that band actually learns how to play the instruments and play all the songs, taken to just an insane new level. So you basically get to live in this TV show for a minute. And even in Austin, it felt like we were in the temple from time to time. And the vibe wasn't exactly the same, because the temple's a very specific, very precious place to me. But yeah, it was as close as you could get. There was so much talent there. Like, they did not skimp. Because I was worried when they first announced it that it would be like, okay, Prince Puma and Johnny Mundo will be here, and they'll just be wrestling local guys, you know? But it was everyone. It was Pentagon and Drago, and I mean, even down to Jack Evans and the Daredevil Werewolf.
You mean the Dare Werewolf?
the Dare Werewolf, yes. I mean, everyone was there. Melissa Santos was there. Vampiro was there. I mean, it was legit. It was the show. And if you got to be there, you know. Like, you saw it, and it was like, this is Lucha Underground. Like, it was also really weird because it was the first time I'd ever seen a Lucha show where they actually came out to music.
Yeah.
Which is really jarring when you're there, because for anyone who hasn't gone to the temple, like, the music's added in post. Mostly because the show's bilingual, so they can't do the ring announcing with music playing in the background and edit it really well. But yeah, having the guys actually come out to music made me associate them with music for the first time. Mm-hmm. Like, Pentagon Jr. is legit my favorite wrestler, but like, I couldn't like tell you what his entrance theme is.
Right.
Because they just don't work to focus on that. But yeah, it was crazy. Seeing all those guys up close in a different environment, but still with the Lucha vibe, was super cool. And plus, I technically got to see Rey Mysterio's in-ring debut for Lucha Underground, because it happened before his TV debut.
Yeah. Did anyone at the panel ask how many surgeries Rey Mysterio had on his knee?
No, I think that information is readily available for anyone who bought a DVD from 2001 to 2006.
Well, it might be updated by now.
No, I'm real proud of that guy, because I was on that team of like, oh, Rey Mysterio, no, honey. Because for a while, when he looked real bad for a while. Circa the Sin Cara team, because what can you do when you're near Sin Cara? Sin Cara is the black racer of the WWE, but Rey, the time off and the time returning to Mexico, like, he looks healthy, he looks quick again, he looks happy. I don't know if you saw him the last time you went to the temple, but I'm sure you can probably vouch for it. Like, the guy's quick again. Like, he's got that snap that Rey Mysterio Jr. always had. And I mean, he's not 20 anymore, but he doesn't need to be. He's a very smart wrestler, and he moves really well. And even though he's had surgery 5 times on his left knee, you know, it's good to see him move around like that. Yeah. He's always been one of my favorites, and seeing him thrive again in a really creative environment makes me happy. Hopefully, he continues doing that and does not turn out like El Patron.
Right. Well, I actually cannot disclose what happened the last time I went to the
that's
temple.
Right. I'm sorry.
Because I just went to the temple, and I saw the first taping for Season 3. And I can't say anything about it. I had the good fortune of having the entirety of Season 2 spoiled for me right off the bat. But all it did was make me even more excited to see the rest of Season 2, because holy shit. And also, just I just, the only thing I can say is that Season 3 is going to blow your fucking mind. It is... It's unbelievable. I'm just so excited, and I can't wait until like 18 months from now when I can talk to you guys.
It's a real long time away.
Yeah, it's so far away.
It's so far away. Like, these people are going to be grandpas by the time this gets on TV.
Yeah.
But yeah, the last taping I went to was like episodes, I think, like 9 through 13 or something for Season 2.
Yeah.
So like Aztec Warfare, which airs, Wednesday?
Yeah.
Was the first episode I went to, and like a lot of stuff goes down in Aztec Warfare, but like, when I went, like, I had to talk to Eric for a minute and be like, okay, so I'm going to be totally spoiled. So can you just spoil the first, like, 8 episodes of Lucha? And he starts spoiling it for me, and I'm just like, what? Why did that happen? What? Why? But then now I watch them in context, and I'm just like, this is all the best. So I'm really excited to catch up to season 3 and tell you how I feel about it when I'm 48.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was an option to just ask someone who works there, because the first tapings of Lucha Underground I went to were like, I don't know why there's medallions, and because there was very little that had aired at that point, and I was like, getting into like the back third of the season 1, and like there's like a 2-month gap at least between what I was looking at and what I had seen. So I'm like, I don't know why this person's gone. I don't know why this is happening. Like, why does Big Rick have an eye patch? Like, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, the first ever tapings I went to were Grave Consequences.
Right.
So it was like, oh, I'm walking into Mil Muertes and Phoenix in a casket match?
Right.
Like, what? How did we get to this point? Why are there, like, Dia de los Muertos people wandering around, like, playing instruments and carrying caskets? What's happening? And then it blew my mind, and then having it in context later works. That's the great thing about that show, is a lot of people ask me, they're just like, hey, is this filmed like a TV show where they just, like, stop in the middle and repeat spots and work on, like, fake crowd reactions? And no, it's absolutely not. Mm-hmm. It's a real wrestling show.
Right.
And it's a dope wrestling show,
yeah.
Even if you don't understand all the other stuff that goes along with it. So that's part of what makes that show good. If you're anywhere in the area of the temple and you haven't been to a show, like, please try to go to a show, because they're so worth it.
Yeah, you definitely should get out there. Let's just briefly recap. Phoenix is the champ now. Mm-hmm. It was like one of the greatest episodes of Lucha Underground ever.
Absolutely.
And there's probably going to be an even better episode this week with Aztec Warfare.
As Bill Hansdock said earlier, where you go and you can't mention anything, I have seen Aztec Warfare, and yes, it is probably better than that amazing episode that we just watched.
Yeah.
Oh, that's...
It's so bonkers. It's so bonkers, dude. Like, there are times where I almost fell. I was sitting on the not the balcony, but like the first level up of chairs, like right over near where like Melissa Santos sits when she's not announcing.
Right.
And I seriously almost fell over the rail like 3 times.
Nice.
It's so good. And they announced that Rey Mysterio is in the match, so like I can say that. But at the time, like, we didn't really know that. So there's this great moment where Melissa Santos is like, from San Diego, California, and there's this amazing silence, and I hope it's on the episode and that they don't talk over it, but like, watch it when it happens, because he's in the match. You know he's in the match. It's
People
fine.
Flip out.
But there's like a silence, because we're like, wait, we know a guy from San Diego, California, what? And then it happens, and it's so good.
Yeah. I'm a little sad she didn't go, from the 619.
I'm sure she will. Melissa Santos is a wonderful, precious flower.
Yeah,
and
she's the best.
It's one of those things where when she first started, I was like, why is she announcing like this? This is weird. The following lucha, with like her like hand like Vanna Whiting, and I was just like, who is this lady? Why is she doing this? And now I would never replace her with anyone ever.
Right.
She's so crucial.
Yep. It is a bummer to watch her live though, because especially in the temple, I don't know how it was at the Austin show, but just like the incessant catcalling is just so gross. I hate it so much.
It wasn't too bad. There were a few "I love you" Melissas,
right?
But other than that, it wasn't too bad.
No, every taping I've been to, it's been real bad.
Yeah, the lucha crowd is
not great.
Not great. They're not great.
But through the magic of television editing,
God bless them. They sound like the best crowd ever.
Yeah.
My biggest regret is that I wasn't in the Believers Backlash match.
Oh, I was there for that. I wasn't part of it, but I was watching it live, and it was even more horrific. Watching live, like they actually like, I think it was the hot tub guy, but one of them just like, one of the PAs had to like pull him aside during the match and be like, "That's enough."
I know Fernandez got whipped in the crotch once.
No,
he was real upset about it.
Like when he like the instant that he went outside of the ring, like the very first thing that happened was someone whipped him straight in the goddamn face. That was the very first thing that happened. And then like everyone was just wailing on this dude. And it to such a degree that like it made Hernandez like a really sympathetic character, but also like I don't think they told anyone to hold back or that like
hey, like strap the back.
Yeah, hey guys, this is a work. Like you could tell, like I am shocked that Hernandez signed up for that, or that I mean he must have been told like, oh, we'll tell everyone to just like, you know, lay into you lightly or whatever. But he bailed and then just started getting whipped about his entire body and then just started, like, running. Like, instead of, like, milking it and, like, walking away, he was just like, fuck this!
I love that his entire experience with that show is just the worst.
Oh, yeah. I've never really had a problem with Hernandez because, like, I get what his point is. Yeah. So, like, you know, like, after all this happened with that, watching that live and then seeing, like, what happened with him in TNA and Lucha Underground, like, I feel bad for the guy. Mm-hmm. Anyway. Mark, you excited about Aztec Warfare?
I'm just supremely jealous of both of you guys. Like, oh, the times I'm at the temple, you know, when I go, well, when I have time.
Next time you come out to Los Angeles, just make sure Lucha Underground's in season.
That was honestly part of the honeymoon planning. As Bill knows, I went to Los Angeles as part of my honeymoon because I hung out with Bill there. But we were looking for like when a taping was happening, and we couldn't find any information, and then there was nothing, and there was wrestling like all around when we had our honeymoon because I think there was a PWG show like the week after, and there was a WWE show in Las Vegas while we were in Vegas that we didn't go to. And Money in the Bank was the day after our wedding. We had initially planned to like do our honeymoon at, you know, like have that be like the final stop on it, and then it turned out it was the same weekend. So couldn't do that. No wrestling on the honeymoon, even though you know we tried on multiple occasions to make it happen.
We're gonna move on. We're gonna talk about NXT because we love talking about NXT. But I mean, as far as the last episode, there's really not a lot to say other than that it ruled and it set up like everything for Takeover. So what I thought would be fun to do rather than just be like NXT is the best, Chad Gable is the best, Shinsuke Nakamura is the best, which everyone knows already.
Maybe we should still say Chad Gable's the best.
Chad Gable is the best.
He's the best.
Yeah. I really loved that when WWE.com ran their interview with Mike Quackenbush, they were like, so did anyone stand out? Or he's like, Chad Gable.
I love that Mike Quackenbush, who has wrestled just the best wrestlers who could have ever lived, meets this guy, and it's just like, it's an Eminem meeting 50 Cent situation where it's just like, I was wondering what the future of rap was, and then I was like, oh. Like, that's Mike Quackenbush's response to Chad Gable.
It was also an Eminem's meeting Santa Claus situation. They do exist. All right.
What?
You know the commercial that's going to run for the rest of our lives? It's our generation's Barney My Pebbles.
I thought Barney My Pebbles was my generation's Barney My Pebbles.
Tis the season to be sharing, Fred.
Fuck you. Oh, God.
So what I thought would be fun to do would be to compare the current Takeover Dallas and WrestleMania cards.
Oh, Lord, why?
Because it's going to be fun.
Okay, let's be
fun.
Is
Zack Ryder in both of them?
No, but Alex Riley's stank is all over everything.
Oh, that just doesn't come out.
No, it doesn't. You got to get a Febreze and a plug-in and CLR.
That's why Miz is so wrapped up all the time. You know, he's just so covered in clothes because he's just really trying to shield himself.
It's the Shroud of Riley.
What does the Shroud of Riley smell like?
Blue.
No, that's it right there. That sound. That's what it smells like.
All right, so NXT TakeOver Dallas, Austin Aries versus Baron Corbin is obviously going to rule because it's like the best feud of all time.
I really want Baron Corbin to like get him in the end of days, and then instead of falling backwards, just throw him straight up until Austin Aries just crashes through the ceiling and we never see him again.
Like he's in the room of the fizzy lifting drinks.
Yes, exactly.
I think that we definitely need to start calling Baron Corbin Barry.
Barry Corbin.
Not just because Barry Corbin is one of the finest actors of our lifetime, but also that I think that it would make him angry if we called him Barry. So he definitely looks like a Barry.
Oh, yeah.
Brandon, I think you need to share your idea for bringing Barry Corbin up to the main roster.
Oh, sure. I really want him to be the Undertaker's deadbeat son. Because he's about the right age to be it. I mean, he could convincingly be like 26, 27. Like, he could be like a deadbeat kid.
I mean, a 40-year-old can be a 60-year-old son. Let's...
Sure, that's fine. But I'm just saying, like a deadbeat kid from like a second marriage.
Right.
So he's very much like his dad. He's got the height.
He's Undertaker's stepson.
Yeah. Well,
he's Sarah's kid.
But he looks so much like him. He's got like the same hairline kind of now.
Kinda.
And I love the idea. And I love the idea that like Barry Corbin never got into the occult or like zombie sacrifice or murders or whatever, and just loves motorcycles. And like his dad loves motorcycles, but he's like past that point in his life now where he doesn't want to talk about that anymore. He like got back to his true love, which is murdering people with lightning.
Yes.
So now, so the big reveal, of course, is that Baron is his first name, Corbin is his middle name, and his last name is Undertaker. Because we established that Sarah's last name when she was married to Undertaker was Sarah Undertaker.
Right.
That was canon.
Yes.
So Kane's last name is either Bearer or Undertaker, right? So you think Kane's Kane Bearer or Kane Undertaker?
Kane Bearer.
Okay. All right, but Sarah was Sarah Undertaker, so Barry would be Baron Undertaker.
And
because Baron Undertaker is the dopest name for a wrestler of all time.
Yes. And let us not sleep on the fact that Undertaker's first name is also Kane.
Right, it's a Mario Brothers situation. Right. So imagine...
Wait. Oh, yeah, because Luigi's name is Luigi Mario. Okay, go ahead.
Right. I love how you had to like clarify that for a second. No, imagine like a guy who loves motorcycles and his dad is a zombie wizard, and his name is Baron Undertaker.
Yes. I just
how did you boo that guy?
What I instantly thought of when you started going through that was like, it's Halloween and Undertaker like parks a hearse on the lawn and like has a fog machine and like a bunch of like skeleton arms coming out, and like Barry Undertaker is like walking out of the house like with his like his jean vest with like an addict's patch on the back, and like Undertaker's like, "Hey Barry, come on, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna scare some kids." And Barry Undertaker just rolls his eyes like, "God, Dad, you're so lame." Like gets on his dirt bike a la Eddie Furlong in Terminator 2, just tears ass through the town, blasting some GNR.
Is there a better phrase ever than a la Eddie Furlong?
Probably not.
It's so beautiful. A la Eddie Furlong. It's like a chant. It's like Klaatu Verita Niktu.
It's true.
I love that idea. And I feel like it could be sympathetic, and also it would be one of those Charlotte Flair situations where eventually he would like come to terms with the wizard part of him.
Yeah.
And all but like Baron Corbin has been this like lone wolf motorcycle dude for the longest time, and then he's like faced with this just huge threat, and all of a sudden he just like in like a natural panic just throws his arms up to cover his face and like lightning strikes the guy.
Or
he's so good.
Or I was thinking like people keep picking on him and he keeps losing fights, and then like finally like he goes backstage and like Undertaker's there in front of like a bubbling cauldron and he's like, huh? And like Barry Undertaker's like, fine, I'll use fell magics, and like snatches a wand.
I just love the Undertaker giving speeches.
Yeah.
Like, I want Undertaker giving dad speeches like, Baron, it is within your soul to face the fires of hell. Baron's just like, I would like the potatoes, Dad. Please pass me the potatoes.
Especially modern day Undertaker where he grunts when he rolls his eyes back.
He's basically Lurch. He's like Lurch in a pair of chaps. Like a onesie and some chaps. It's wonderful.
All my fanfic at once.
Yeah, and we could get Sarah back, and like Barry Corbin could be like, DDP's my real dad. It'd be great.
Or he'd be like, Dad, I finally figured out a way to make you happy, and like holds up the severed head of Diamond Dallas Page, smiling.
I also love the idea of Austin Aries as like that high school bully who's like, wizards aren't real. What are you even talking about? Baron Corbin has to be like, my dad's a wizard. Austin's just, I don't care. Your dad's stupid. Just, I want Baron Corbin to be the most sympathetic character that's ever been created on WWE TV.
Yes, he probably is.
He's my Patronus. He's already attacking Austin-Aries for no reason other than the fact that he exists. So he's already very close to me.
Well, it's funny that it came up because... It's funny that you say, like, the most sympathetic character, like, that you've envisioned the situation for him, because the reason he is so awesome is because he's the least sympathetic character ever right now.
Go back to Ring of Honor.
The guy who accomplished nothing, who thinks that he deserves everything, and that everyone else who actually accomplished things didn't accomplish anything because it didn't happen in the Performance Center.
Hey, he has Division II college football championship rings.
He does.
You need to respect that.
Also, he beat Bull Dempsey.
Oh man,
he beat
I love
independent
so much.
standout Bull James.
I asked Bill this last week, Brandon, but what independent company should Baron yell at Austin to go back to?
Go back to IWAMS.
What did we go with last week? Was it Chikara?
Yeah, it's Chikara. Tells Austin-Aries to go back to Chikara.
he has to contractually tell him to go back to Evolve, right?
Yes.
Go back to FIP. I know, right? That's exactly the response to anything FIP.
Yeah, also just yelling, go back to absolutely intense wrestling. Revival versus our heroes, American Alpha.
Biggest layup of all time.
Yeah, it's going to be so good.
I want that match. I want it to seriously, like, part of me wants it to be like a 40-minute classic because it could be, but part of me just wants it to be Chad Gable suplexing dudes and then immediately tagging out for the hot tag finish.
Yeah.
Because Jason Jordan should never wrestle more than 30 seconds. He should just come in and go nuclear on everyone and then immediately set Chad Gable up for the Grand Amplitude. That's all he should ever do. And I love Jason Jordan, but he's the most perfect hot tag wrestler I've ever seen.
We were racking our brains last week during the NXT after show trying to remember whether their finisher had a name.
Oh, yeah.
Anywho, we all know that's going to be great. Apparently, Apollo Crews versus Elias Sampson is a match.
Oof. Go back to Ring of Honor.
The immovable force meets the drifting object.
Maybe it'll be Samson's like coming out party as a character. I did like the house show match I saw him in.
Maybe it'll be Samson's getting fired party.
That too.
There's absolutely nothing to say about that match.
I know. I just
So the match that got set up via staticky selfie footage last week, Sami Zayn versus Shinsuke Nakamura, which might very well be the match of the weekend. By which I mean
really
WrestleMania weekend.
I was just waiting for some kind of counterpoint, but there probably isn't one.
No, why would there be a counterpoint? No, absolutely not. It's a perfect environment because it's not only Nak in like a controlled WWE environment. Like if they were like Nakamura's debuting at the Royal Rumble, there would be like a 60% chance that the crowd would just be awful. And I hate being that like, hey, remember how awful things are? But like,
yeah.
I've seen way too many Asian wrestlers get the ding, 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 ding music and like come out with like dragon sounds. And then they'll be like, he's the master of the martial arts. And that's just it. And people are just like, you don't speak English.
So like the Plinky Kodo music, is that better or worse than the music that Yoshitatsu got?
Yoshitatsu's
like,
music,
it's hard.
It's original music.
It's hard. It's really hard to, but it's like I fucking love Yoshitatsu's music, but it's hard to like really get a handle on which is more racist.
Yeah, they're pretty close. But yeah, like NXT's proven with Asuka that like the NXT crowd understands the fact that some people aren't from this country, and that's fine.
Right.
And that has nothing to do with whether or not they're a good or bad wrestler.
And also, I think that Enzo and Cass have sort of proven, and certainly like people like Sami Zayn, other people have proven, like if you hang around NXT long enough and expose people to a wrestler long enough, that will have some spillover into mainstream and casual fans, and people will understand like this is a person worth your time, or they'll at least be like, oh, you should go check out NXT on the WWE network if you're not familiar with this person.
Mm-hmm. And that's a really good point. And one of the reasons why it's important, even if you're a pessimistic guy on the internet, like, I mean, admittedly, I am pretty pessimistic. It's very important, even if you dislike a lot of what you're watching, to make sure you say the things that you do like about it.
Right.
That's very, very important. Because a lot of times, you're going to feel like you're alone. And you're going to feel like, okay, well, I don't know, El Dragon Azteca Jr., so I'm going to say he's my favorite guy on the show, even if people might not agree with me. And that's a terrible example because he's amazing. But, like, say you like Elias Sampson, and everyone you know hates Elias Sampson. If you say you love Elias Sampson and you have reasons, there's a good chance that somebody else is going to read that and identify with that, and there's going to be this cool bond that you make because you're watching wrestling, you know? Like, that's part of the fun of it. So it's always very important to say you love something because, like you said, there's spillover. Like, if enough people become passionate about a thing, it defies all of the tropes and characteristics, and sometimes it breaks through. Daniel Bryan is the best example ever of that. Like, in 2010, did we ever imagine that dude going 0-10 and then, like, getting fired for tie choking would main event WrestleMania and win, like, 2 titles by beating Triple H, Batista, and Randy Orton? Like, it was an impossibility, but, like, the passion of people who would not give up on it got him there. So, I don't know. I think that's the coolest part about wrestling, period. So, it's like saying cool things about guys you like is super important.
Absolutely. And we're certainly seeing that with AJ Styles right now. Of like,
they don't want none.
But, you know, you could definitely get the sense of like them sort of like being a little bit, you know, testing the waters lightly with AJ Styles. And they're like, oh, he's selling a shit ton of merchandise and everyone loves him. Okay. Well, now we can go full bore with the guy.
Can I tell you what my favorite part of AJ Styles being here is?
His shitty haircut?
It's the fact that the fact that one day he's gonna wrestle Randy Orton and he's gonna do that Asai DDT and Orton's gonna RKO him and it's gonna be the hottest thing ever.
Holy Lord. Yeah.
Oh, man.
Way to go. Oh, how happy are you that the Asai DDT is now one motion?
I love it. It took me. It was something that I was just like, why don't you just do it? I'm really happy with it. And even if Kofi Kingston's really the only one who can take it correctly, God bless him. Just let him take it.
Yeah. Do you think that Kofi was the one who floated that?
If he is, he's my favorite guy ever.
We're gonna get Bayley versus Asuka for the NXT Championship. Asuka has been for some time the monster at the end of the book for Bayley. So this is probably Bayley's last stand as champ, I would have to think.
Here's my theory on it. I've been thinking about this match a lot. I feel like Bayley's taking it.
Okay.
Because there's a lot of possibilities for title changes on that show.
Right.
And, you know, like Joe Finn could go either way. I feel like obviously the tag titles are going to change.
Right.
Like if they don't, like what's wrong with you?
Right.
But like I feel like Asuka Bayley is going to be a great match, but I feel like the heat's not there yet. And I feel like if Bayley somehow does the thing she did with Nia Jax where she pulls out a victory just because she's smart. Because Bayley's thing is not that she's the toughest wrestler, it's that she has a huge heart and she has a good game plan.
Right.
So if she somehow pulls off something on Asuka and then Asuka goes nuts and beats the shit out of her, like that's your next Takeover rematch and that's Bayley's last stand. That's what I would do.
Right. The only thing that makes me think that the title change is more likely is all of the seeds that have been, even before the Bayley versus Asuka seeds have been planted, the Nia versus Asuka seeds were there.
I feel like the Bayley match ruined that though. Like if Bayley can just beat Nia, like of course Asuka can beat Nia.
Right.
Like Nia hasn't beaten anybody good. Like the best person Nia's beaten is Carmella. I mean, that's no shade on Carmella, but like Carmella's not like a top level performer, right?
Right.
There's no other like horseman for Nia Jax to beat. So like, if she didn't beat Bayley, like, what does that mean?
Yeah. All right.
I feel like there's not enough heat there for that. Also, Nia Jax is a very, very important figure in pro wrestling, I feel like, and I like her a lot and I want to support her, but she's not been hot shit, I don't think, since she has shown up. You got to jump on that leg drop, Nia. You got to get a little bit of air on it. Like, you cannot just sit down. Like, you have to get some air on it.
I feel like she obliterated Eva with it pretty well last week.
I feel like if you handed Eva a business card, it would obliterate her.
That's high praise.
Yeah, what can I say?
All right, the main event, assumedly, is Finn Balor defending against Samoa Joe. Do you think Finn brings the demon or not? I mean, he has to. It's WrestleMania weekend, right?
He has to. I wish that was part of the story. I wish that Joe would like finally be the guy to be like, hey, like,
right,
cut it out with the mind games. Like, if you want to like prove to me that you can beat me as you. Like, stop it with the bullshit. Well, like, I feel like that's the Finn Balor story that we haven't told yet, but it would be really great.
Right. I also think that the story of Samoa Joe is that he wouldn't give a shit either way. So it might just be like, if I don't think this is going to happen, but I think that if Joe is the guy to beat Demon Balor, like, that would send quite a statement on its own.
Yeah, that would be really great. I'd be down for that. I'm so into Joe right now. Like,
yeah,
I'm okay with either way.
For sure. And I'm really happy.
If the demon loses, then you have even more of an excuse to move over to the Bulletproof Balor Club, because it's like, well, if the demon is not working, then it's numbers game time.
Oh yeah, hey, that's a good point. But I think that I'm really happy that Joe's getting the title shot WrestleMania weekend. As much as I love Sammy, like, Sammy's clearly done all he can in NXT. So anyway, Brandon, just real quick, your take on this. I've long said, like, I will be pleasantly surprised. Like, I don't ever expect Samoa Joe to make it, or Samoa and Joseph to make
Samoa and Joe
to make it up to the main roster. But do you think that he might? I don't think that he like needs it or necessarily even wants it. And he's certainly got what it takes to be king of the world for NXT for as long as he wants to be. And it's just great that he's rejuvenated and having awesome matches and making a living. So.
I think if they are dedicated to making NXT its own brand, giving them some exclusive guys who have no intentions of coming up, like Asuka. Like, Asuka should never come up. Never, ever. Keep her so far away from Raw and SmackDown. I do not need to hear Byron Saxton and JBL talking about Asuka ever. Period. I don't need Michael Cole being like, look at the power. Like, I don't need that.
She named herself after Lioness Asuka Mega.
Good Lord. But yeah, if they're gonna work on making that its own brand, having some exclusive people who you would want to buy a ticket to see, like, that's important. I think Joe being Samoa Joe and being the same character and doing the best work of his life, I feel like coming up would be pointless.
Right.
Like, why? Why would you even do that? Like, you finally got it back. Like, you have the love from a big audience that you were looking for. So
unless it was like a grudge match at like SummerSlam or Royal Rumble against AJ or something.
Yeah, I feel like maybe we should start, especially if the roster is depleted, putting some NXT matches on more shows, because that was a really good idea at Roadblock.
Yeah.
That was the best match on that show, and I know maybe you don't want the NXT guys and their different style to like ruin what you're going for, but like, why not run like Joe versus Sammy or something on a backlash type thing, payback, just something.
Yeah.
Just Joe versus whoever the next title challenger is, like Joe Apollo Crews, like run that on payback in like the undercard or even on the kickoff, just like something to give it like a little bit of rub, and that way he'd be on the main roster without really being on the main roster.
Right. Did you guys know that there are already 9 matches announced for WrestleMania, and that's not even including AJ versus Chris Jericho, which isn't official yet?
Yeah, Raw added a ton.
Can you guys name the 9 matches that are official and the participants?
Oh God, do you want me to try for real?
I want you guys to alternate. So, okay. Mark, you start.
Well, obviously there's the Dre.
Okay, that's 1.
Roman Triple H.
That's 2.
Ambrose first, Lesnar.
3.
Charlotte and Sasha and Becky.
4.
Kevin Owens and versus everyone.
Okay, tell me the people in the match.
Sami Zayn, Miz, Dolph Ziggler, Stardust, Sin Cara, and Zack Ryder.
Nice. That's 5.
Damn, that sounds shitty when you say it like that.
Well, I shouldn't have gone in like descending order, but
New Day versus the Lads.
Yes, that's 6.
Dudley's versus Usos.
That's 7.
Wait, is that official?
Yes.
Yeah, it was made official, wasn't it?
It was like the first match to be made official. It was like
what
the
else is
second match after like the world title match.
Oh, okay. Kalisto Ryback.
That's 8. And Mark, round us out.
It's the easy one. Come on, we saved it for last.
Oh man, I'm spacing. That the Brie Lana thing is not official yet, right?
It isn't.
Okay.
It's the match that they're selling WrestleMania.
Oh god, it's a Shane Taker match.
Save it for last.
That worked out.
I was going way too.
That worked out so much better than I anticipated.
I know. I even tricked myself in the end of thinking we had forgotten something like really like pre-showy.
Goldust versus R-Truth.
But no, hey, that's coming.
Yeah.
But
they're going to be involved in that Usos Dudley Boys match.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
I wish that Goldust would be involved in the ladder match so that we could get Goldust and Stardust at WrestleMania.
Yeah.
Maybe 33, which is the thing that I say every time they don't do it.
Right.
I don't know.
It's never going to happen.
It is the 1950s Dodgers of Mania feuds.
Yeah, like honestly, this card doesn't look so bad. Like, I think this card doesn't look so bad.
2 years in a row of suboptimal build, where we will be very happy with the actual card.
Considering everyone's injured and like
they're so injured,
that New Day versus the Lads match like is like so underwhelming. But the New Day is definitely going to come out on unicorns, so their entrance will probably make us forget about everything that follows.
And also, they're going to have a mystery partner, right? Because it's 4-on-3, so of course they're going to bring somebody with them. Like, why would they actually do 4-on-3?
Seth Rollins?
Yes? The captain?
The unofficial 4th member and
captain
of the...
Oh my god, why did you tell me that now? That's all I want.
I know.
Oh, Bill!
Well, no, he's going to come out and get involved in the main event. Come on.
Well, yeah, but I want him there now.
There's a part of me that's so tempted because we have a WrestleMania party, and like me and Kate wear wrestling shirts, and anyone who comes up who's into wrestling and not just into like going to a party with food and beer and everything, they don't wear shirts. Obviously, they don't care. They're just there for the company and the fun.
They don't wear shirts.
No shirts at all. It's a party. I am so tempted to wear one of my many Seth Rollins shirts under whatever shirt I decide to wear, so that if he does come out at random, I can just triumphantly take off whatever the other thing I have is, and be like, "Oh, Seth is back." But then all my friends will never come over again.
I will be continuing my tradition of wearing my Team Johnny shirt to WrestleMania. Because I'm Team Johnny for life.
Nice.
But yeah, I feel like they're going to have a mystery partner, because why would you do a 4-on-3 handicap match with the fucking Lads? Like, nobody cares about those guys. Like, why would you do that? Well,
there was speculation, one of my NXT team compatriots speculated that that Barrett would get injured prior to WrestleMania. No, like storyline injured, and that would like quote unquote even the playing field. But I was saying like that would be petty and shitty even for WWE.
Do you think they made 4-on-3 assuming that he was going to get hurt? That's actually a pretty good theory.
He's probably got like a ruptured spleen as we speak. All right.
He's not even good at speaking anymore. Like, did you see that promo on Raw where like Sheamus got like 8 bars and like Alberto got 8 bars and Rusev got 8 bars and Barrett was just like, we're the Lads! And that was it.
He's just very out of practice.
He's so good at talking, though.
Yeah, also he has the craziest ass voice.
Yes!
I miss Bad News Barrett.
I miss any other version of Wade Barrett. I miss any other version of him.
I didn't really like overcoat dumpy Wade Barrett.
I did. He was like a King of Fighters character. He would just come out and be like, I'm not wearing my jacket. It was great. And they had that thing very briefly on NXT Season 1 where, like, he tried to get over his different colors of roses. Do you remember that?
No.
He had different roses. He had different roses that meant different colors. And, like, whenever promo. Right. Which also led to that wonderful Justin Gabriel promo of, like, I don't like roses. I don't like flowers. Roses are okay, right? They're English. Which is one of the best promos ever.
I prefer daredevilry, werewolves, and Worf from Star Trek Next Generation. That's why I'm the Darewolf.
I love how our only way to do an accent that approaches his is to do the "It's an emergency" kid from The Simpsons.
Oh no, I was just doing a New Zealand accent.
It was a really accurate one. Yeah. Well
done. We actually, the last thing that I wanted to talk about before we let Brandon go, because we've taken too much of his time and he's been very generous.
Let me go, goddammit.
We actually have some TNA things. One TNA thing
Bye,
to
guys.
discuss.
I'll see you guys later.
No. Hang on. Bobby Roode and Eric Young left the company.
Uh-huh.
What's going to happen?
I'm going to laugh at James Storm for the rest of my life.
What a bummer. Well, at least he got money.
Congratulations, buddy. You got money. Well done. WWE was going to pay you in snacks.
Well, I mean, you can't win friends with salad.
You cannot, I know. But, like, dude, to be James Storm, like, what a great decision. What a great decision.
It looked really awesome at the time.
It did not, sir.
Well, but come on. Like, they're like, come on, we're gonna bring it back. We're gonna give you way more money than the other people are gonna pay you. We're going to reform Beer Money and make you the focus of the tag division. That all sounds great. Like, what else is he gonna, like, bang around NXT for less money? Like, sure, that sounds great. It's not like he's gonna call up Bobby and be like, hey, here we're getting the band together, and Bobby Roode's not gonna immediately be like, yeah, I'm bailing soon.
I feel like if you, and this, God bless TNA, I want them to do well, but, like, if you couldn't look at the ecosystems in play here and be like, I could stay in NXT, which has not only gotten a lot of critical love and fan love, but has started selling out 10,000-seat arenas. I can go be a person who is beloved by the WWE on their most popular and best show for a slightly less amount of money, or I can go make more money for like 6 months until this entire company falls in the fucking garbage.
Well, but if
why would you do that?
But if this entire thing has proved us anything, it's that you can just go ask for your release anytime.
Let me ask you a question. For real. Okay, say you got two options for a job. Say somebody's going to pay you $100,000 to work at a wonderful like children's hospital where you get to help people and everyone loves you and celebrities come in all the time and they thank you and they take you out to dinner and they buy you food and you're making $100,000 and you're doing something that you love and it's making you happy and people notice you and there's always newspaper stories about you and everyone who talks about you is just like, yeah, he does great work and it's great that he's finally getting love. It's wonderful. He's making $100,000 a year. Now say that for $200,000 a year you could work at fucking Captain D's. That's what James Storm did. He was like, I'm going to take twice as much money to work at the shittiest of the low-quality fish restaurants.
Oh, that must be a regional joke. Sorry.
Captain D's Seafood. It's like Long John Silver's, but shittier.
Oh. It's the restaurant that smells like Alex Riley.
Oh.
Imagine short John Silver's. That's Captain D's.
I mean, if anyone's paying me over $80,000 a year to work anywhere, I'm there.
Right.
It doesn't matter what I'm doing.
And it's James Storm. It's not like he's like a spring chicken. It's not like
not like
Sammy Callahan got a job and he's just like, I gotta try hard. It's like you're James Storm.
Well, here is my working theory. James Storm is the world's biggest Zwan fan. It's like, sorry guys, I love NXT, I love the culture, but Billy Corgan's over there. Sorry about your damn lack of employing a former member of the Smashing Pumpkins, greatest band of all time. I'm out.
Like NXT suddenly signs like Darcy and James Eha. It's like, yeah.
NXT signs Trent Reznor. That'd be great.
I want Tori Amos as the GM for NXT.
If Trent Reznor was the house, like, took over for, what was his name, Jim Johnston?
You mean a CF dollar sign, whatever?
No, not CFOS. The guy, the James Johnson, the guy who makes all the music.
The guy who's doing WWE films now.
Oh, okay.
Which is why the other people do music now.
Yeah, so if Trent Reznor took over for CFOS and then David Fincher started directing NXT, then we'd have Lucha Underground.
Here's my going theory.
Yeah.
James Storm was like, NXT's great, but they haven't asked me to murder someone with the Harry Potter train yet.
That's true. Good point.
That's my
You only
theory.
do that at so many companies, you know. You just really gotta hold on when you get those opportunities.
I think that was actual hidden camera footage, and that's just James Storm's fetish, just pushing people onto train tracks. He's like Jack Mort from the Drawing of the Three.
Wow! Holy shit, Bill.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, do you think there's any chance that we see Eric Young or Bobby Roode in NXT or WWE?
He murdered her with the Hogwarts Express.
He did.
It's not even a real train.
It's a fake train for dumb people.
It's a baby train full of cartoons. Anyway, Bobby Roode, probably, maybe.
Not Eric Young.
I don't know. Like, why would you sign Eric Young? Like, that's okay. Like, anybody who's listening who loves Eric Young, like, that's great that you love Eric Young. But, like, if you have your pick of all the wrestlers, like, Shinsuke Nakamura is coming, and you're just like, hey, we also need Eric Young. Because, like, look, I don't like Austin Aries, but I get why people do. Like, Austin Aries is already, like, kind of scraping it. Like, you're not going to bring in Roderick Strong. You're not going to bring in Eric Young. Like, why would you do that?
Well,
like, what's the fucking point?
You can't bring in Roderick Strong. He's under contract to Ring of Honor.
That's the one reason why he doesn't have an NXT job, yes.
I think it is.
I like the idea... Okay. I like the idea that just Triple H is somewhere just like, oh, man, like, I really wish I could sign all these guys, but they're under contract. And he just really wants to sign, like, Kazarian. And he's just like, I want Kazarian. Give me Kazarian, damn it. And they just won't give him.
I want a 62-year-old Chris Daniels.
Like, Triple H has been watching a lot of Brian Kendrick, Frankie Kazarian matches from Velocity from, like, 2002, and he's just like, this would be so great if I had, like, the Penguin Kid.
He's so angry he can't bring in Truth Martini to be a heater for somebody.
Good lord.
Talk about a guy with a crazy-ass voice.
Here's something. Are they ever going to sign Reckless Youth and bring him into NXT?
Yes. Absolutely. Everyone always needs him and Ace Darling to be trainers.
Nice.
Well, let's finish it up. Thanks for joining us, everybody. As always, great for you to join us. I'm so happy that Brandon could be here. Thanks for taking the time, Brandon. I know we took a lot of it. Where can people find you and your musings?
You can find my musings. I am the pro wrestling editor at Uproxx, UPROXX. You can find me at withspandex.com. We do best and worst of Raw columns that people read sometimes. We love aggregating content, so come check us out as we aggregate content. But we also create some original stuff, and it's kind of fun. So come check us out. We do that. You can see my first movie on Amazon Prime now. We're streaming. It's called Meet Me There. It stars Goldust, of all people. It's pretty cool. I had Bill Handstock attend the screening once. It was pretty great. So yeah, we're making a new movie. It's called Seven Hills City. It's going to be coming out soon. We start shooting it next month. That's going to be crazy. I have rehearsals tonight. And it's crazy because I'm just like, oh, these people are real now. This is wonderful. So that's coming out soon. So look for that. Other than that, you can find me on Twitter at Mr. Brandon Stroud, Mr. Brandon Stroud. It's like strong and loud put together. I have to tell that to receptionists all the time.
It's like Roderick Strong and loud and noxious.
Right. Yes. It's exactly like Roderick Strong. Just remember that. You can find me at Roderick Strong on Twitter. You can see me wrestling every week on TNA Impact Wrestling.
Please tell me about my shitty little boots.
Yes. But no, yeah. You can find me anywhere. Just Google Brandon Stroud. Chances are I'm the one that people are yelling about.
Nice. If you don't get enough wrestling content over at With Spandex, then why would you? ever get enough wrestling content. That was my point. I didn't
get wrestling content in as many places as you can.
Yeah, cram it in all your holes. You can cram it in at cagesightseats.com, at sbnation.com/wrestling. You can check me out on Twitter at Sundown Motel. Mark, where can people find you?
Mark_Normandin.
And if you want to check out Mark's writing about the stickball, you can go to sbnation.com/MLB. And you can always rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Do that. We might have Rudo Radio shirts soon. That'd be cool, huh?
Yeah, we're also... I want one of those, by the way. Second of all, pay attention to both of our Twitters, because me and Bill Handsock are working on a thing soon.
Yeah, hopefully that'll come out within the next couple weeks, and it'll be amazing. It's something that people have literally been asking for years, so that should be fun. If you want to rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes, just go ahead and go to iTunes and click the review button and just write, "Good podcast, guys." That's all. That's all you have to do. And give us whatever star rating you want, because just writing "Good podcast, guys," it helps us out. And hopefully Brandon will start his own podcast someday. Otherwise, he's always welcome back here. And thanks for joining us, everybody. We'll take you and talk to you next week.
That's quite the commitment.
Until next week, don't smell Alex Riley.